During family dinner at my parents' house, a 22-year-old daughter leaned in and whispered, "We need to leave now." Her face had gone pale. I frowned, confused. "What happened?" I asked. She didn't blink. "You didn't look under the table." Her tone froze my blood. My heart thudded as I slowly glanced down. It was dark beneath the heavy oak table, but I saw it something small, white, and out of place. A folded napkin. But inside it, a corner of something shiny peeked out. I reached under and pulled it free. It was a keychain. A keychain. The one I lost 3 years ago the night my brother died. I felt my breath catch. My daughter saw my face change. "Mom," she whispered, "what's wrong?" Before I could answer, my mother called from the kitchen, cheerful as ever. "Dinner's ready. Everyone to the table." The familiar sound of plates clinking. Laughter. Chairs scraping across the floor. It should have felt comforting. But it didn't. Not tonight. The walls felt smaller. The air heavier. My father poured wine like it was a celebration. My sister was smiling too wide. No one had mentioned my brother in years. No photos of him hung on the walls anymore. It was as if he had been erased except by me. I slipped the keychain into my pocket and forced a smile. "It's beautiful, Mom," I said, looking at the perfectly set table. But my stomach churned when I noticed the name cards, each handwritten elegant cursive, except one. At the end of the table was a single card that said Daniel. My brother's name. My daughter's hand found mine under the table. "Mom," she whispered again. I looked around the table, trying to gauge their expressions. My father was carving the roast, my mother refilling glasses, my sister showing her son some video on her phone. No one seemed to notice that name card. Or maybe they all noticed, and were pretending not to. Dinner began. Small talk, laughter, forced warmth. My mother kept asking about my job, my daughter's studies, the weather, anything but the obvious. My father asked if I'd finally gotten over it. Over what? Losing Daniel? Or discovering that it hadn't been an accident? I chewed slowly, watching their hands, their faces. Every gesture seemed calculated, every smile rehearsed. And then my mother looked straight at me. "I'm glad you came tonight," she said softly. "It's been too long." "I almost didn't," I replied, meeting her eyes. Her smile faltered. For a second, her mask slipped, and I saw something raw flicker behind her eyes. Guilt, fear, or maybe both. The conversation stumbled. My daughter excused herself to the restroom. I used the moment to look around again. And that's when I noticed the new cabinet against the far wall. Glass doors. Family photos inside? All except one space empty, except for a single brass key hanging on a hook. I swallowed. A key. The same design as my keychain. I pushed back my chair and walked to it slowly, pretending to admire the photos. My reflection trembled in the glass. I reached out, but before I could touch the key, my father's voice came from behind me. "That's locked for a reason." I turned. His expression was calm, but his eyes were cold. "Why?" I asked. He wiped his hands on a napkin. "Because some doors should stay closed." Something in his tone told me he wasn't talking about furniture. I smiled faintly. "I've never been good at following rules." He chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You got that from your brother." My chest tightened. I wanted to scream. Instead, I turned back to the table. "Where's my daughter?" I asked. He wiped his hands on a napkin. "Because some doors should stay closed." Something in his tone told me he wasn't talking about furniture. I smiled faintly. "I've never been good at following rules." He chuckled, but it didn't reach his eyes. "You've got that from your brother." My chest tightened. I wanted to scream. Instead, I turned back to the table. Where's my daughter? I asked. My mother answered too quickly. She's fine, dear. Probably fixing her makeup. Too quickly. Minutes passed. Then 10. My daughter still hadn't returned. I stood up again, ignoring their stares, and walked down the hall. The bathroom door was open. Empty, Sarah. I called softly. No reply. The back door was slightly ajar. Cool air drifted in, carrying the smell of wet grass. I stepped outside, heart pounding. The yard was quiet. Only the sound of the old wind chime on the porch. Then I saw footprints in the mud, small, leading toward the shed. The same shed my father had sealed years ago after Daniel's death. I followed the prints, my breath shaky, the keychain cold in my pocket. The shed door was locked with a new padlock, shiny and untouched. But someone had tried to pry it open. Recently, scratches glinted on the metal. Behind me, I heard a voice. Looking for something. It was my sister, leaning in the doorway, arms crossed. Her smile was thin. Where's my daughter? I demanded. She shrugged. She's inside. Talking to Mom. You should come back before you make a scene. I stepped closer. You're lying. Her eyes flickered toward the house. We all agreed, you know? It was better this way. For everyone. What are you talking about? She sighed. Still pretending you don't know? You were there, weren't you? The night he died. My throat went dry. That's not true. She tilted her head. Then why did Dad say you pushed him? The world tilted. What? She smirked. You always were his favorite. Maybe that's why Mom covered it up. Family first. I stepped back, dizzy. You're insane, am I? She whispered, stepping closer. Then why did she invite you tonight? After all these years? Maybe she's ready to tell the truth. I turned toward the house, my pulse racing. My daughter? I had to find her. When I entered the dining room again, everyone was seated except my daughter. Her chair was empty, her phone still on the table. My mother smiled, serene. Everything all right, dear? I gripped the edge of the table. Where is she? My father looked confused. Dora pretended to. Who's Sarah? I snapped. She's gone. He exchanged a glance with my mother. Then he said quietly, sit down. I'm not sitting until sit down, he repeated, firmer this time. You need to hear this. I hesitated, every instinct screaming to run. But I sat slowly. My mother reached for my hand. We didn't mean to keep this from you forever, she began softly. But Daniel's death wasn't an accident. And it wasn't your fault either. My heart stopped. Then she looked at my father. He nodded. Tell her. Tears welled in her eyes. Your brother didn't die that night. Not really. For a second, I didn't understand. What do you mean? She swallowed. He survived. For a while. But we had to protect him. My blood ran cold. Protect him. From who? She didn't answer. The lights flickered once. Then again, and from the hallway, I heard a faint creak like a door opening. Everyone went silent. I turned toward the sound, heart hammering, and saw a figure standing in the shadows. Tall. The lights flickered once. Then again, and from the hallway I heard a faint creak like a door opening. Everyone went silent. I turned toward the sound, heart hammering, and saw a figure standing in the shadows, tall, familiar, and holding a small silver keychain. My key. Hey sis, the figure said softly. I couldn't breathe. It was Daniel. I froze. The world around me vanished. Voices fading until only his stood out, a voice I'd heard last in a hospital room years ago when he was declared dead. My breath came in shallow bursts. Daniel, I whispered, barely recognizing my own voice. He stepped forward, and under the dim light, I saw his face. Older, sharper. A faint scar ran down his left cheek, the same one from the accident if it had ever been an accident. My daughter's phone buzzed faintly on the table. I didn't dare look away. "You're supposed to be dead," I managed to say. He smiled faintly. "Yeah, that was kind of the point. My knees weakened." "What is this?" Some kind of sick joke. My father stood slowly, steadying himself on the table. "Sit down," he said again, his tone more command than request. "You have a lot to hear." My daughter's name burned on my tongue, but something in Daniel's eyes made me stop. "Where is she?" I asked anyway, my voice breaking. Daniel's gaze softened. "Safe for now." The words hit me like a slap. I took a step forward, but my father slammed his fist on the table. "Enough." The sound echoed like thunder. My mother flinched, her wineglass trembling in her hand. "You wanted the truth?" he said, his voice rough. "Then, here it is. Daniel didn't die because of you. He died because of me." My breath caught. "What?" My mother closed her eyes, tears spilling down her face. "He tried to protect you," she whispered. "That night, when you found the ledger, when you saw what your father was doing, Daniel tried to stop him." "What ledger?" I demanded. Daniel's voice was calm, too calm. "The one that proves everything. The money. The fake accounts. The hush payments. You remember the company accident Dad covered up? It wasn't an accident, sis. It was a cover-up for something much bigger." My head spun. My father's jaw clenched. "You don't know what you're talking about, don't I?" Daniel stepped closer, the keychain dangling from his fingers. "You paid off inspectors, buried evidence, and when I threatened to tell the truth, you made sure I disappeared." My father slammed his hand again. "You were reckless. You would have destroyed this family." "You destroyed it," Daniel snapped. "You killed a man, Dad. You ruined lives." I couldn't stay silent. The room vibrated with tension. My mother sobbed quietly. I turned to her, my voice shaking. "You knew." She looked at me with hollow eyes. I had to protect what was left. I backed away, heart pounding. "All this time. You lied to me. You buried your own son."
Start.
Daniel's eyes softened again as he looked at me. She didn't have a choice. None of them did. I was gone, and they made sure no one would come looking. I shook my head. "Why come back now?" Sighed. "Because it's time to finish it." He pulled something from his jacket, a worn brown envelope, tossed it onto the table. "Mom found me later. She took me to someone she trusted. They hid me, changed my name. I stayed away until I was ready." I was shaking. "Ready for what?" His eyes darkened. "For tonight." The lights flickered again, this time longer. My daughter's phone buzzed once more. Daniel looked toward the hallway. "You should check the shed, sis." My blood ran cold. "What? The keychain?" he said, pointing at my pocket. "It's the only thing that opens the padlock." My father shot up from his chair. "Don't go out there." "Why not?" I demanded. "What are you hiding this time?" He hesitated, eyes darting toward my mother. She shook her head slowly. "Please don't," she whispered. "You don't understand." But I was already moving. I ran outside, the air cold and sharp in my lungs. The wind whipped through the yard as I reached the shed. My hands trembled as I fit the key into the lock. It turned easily. The door creaked open. The smell hit first damp wood and something metallic. My flashlight beam cut through the dark. And there, tied to a chair in the corner, was my daughter. Her eyes wide, duct tape over her mouth. I rushed forward, ripping it off. Mom, she cried, shaking. He said you'd come. Who? I demanded, though I already knew. Daniel. She nodded frantically. He said he was protecting me. I untied her, heart pounding. We're leaving, I whispered. Now, but as we stepped outside, Daniel was standing there, blocking the path. You weren't supposed to see her yet, he said quietly. What are you doing? I shouted. This isn't protection, Daniel. This is kidnapping. His face twisted with pain. You don't understand. She's in danger. They would have used her to stop me. Who? I demanded. Mom, Dad. They're the danger. He shook his head. No, there's more. Dad isn't working alone. He's tied to people who won't let this get out. They already know I'm alive. If you leave now, they'll find her. My daughter clung to my arm, sobbing. Please, Mom, let's just go. You're scaring her, I said. You sound just like him. 'Cause I learned from him, Daniel replied bitterly. You think I wanted this? You think I wanted to come back like this? He pulled another envelope from his coat. This is everything. If something happens to me tonight, take this to the police. He handed it to me, his hand shaking. Promise me. Daniel, promise me. I nodded, tears spilling down my cheeks. I promise. He smiled faintly. Good. Then headlights flashed across the yard. My father's car. He was coming. Daniel turned, his voice low. Get her inside. Don't open the door until I say, what are you going to do? End this, he said simply. I pulled Sarah toward the porch as Daniel stepped into the open, the rain beginning to fall. My father got out of the car, shouting something I couldn't hear. Daniel yelled back, words lost in the storm. Then 2 gunshots. My scream was drowned by thunder. My mother ran outside, her nightgown soaked, crying Daniel's name. I dropped to my knees, clutching my daughter. The world blurred. My father stood over Daniel's body, shaking, the gun slipping from his hand. He left me no choice, he muttered. He left me no choice. My mother screamed until her voice broke. I ran to Daniel, pressing my hands against the wound. Stay with me, I begged. His eyes fluttered open. It's okay, he whispered. You kept your promise. My father got out of the car, shouting something I couldn't hear. Daniel yelled back, words lost in the storm. Then 2 gunshots. My scream was drowned by thunder. My mother ran outside, her nightgown soaked, crying Daniel's name. I dropped to my knees, clutching my daughter. The world blurred. My father stood over Daniel's body, shaking, the gun slipping from his hand. He left me no choice, he muttered. He left me no choice. My mother screamed until her voice broke. I ran to Daniel, pressing my hands against the wound. Stay with me, I begged. His eyes fluttered open. It's okay, he whispered. You kept your promise. Don't talk. Just breathe. He smiled weakly. Check the drawer. In Dad's study, the black one. Daniel, but his hand fell limp. His eyes fixed on the sky. The rain washed the blood away. My mother collapsed beside me. It's over, she whispered. No, I said, my voice trembling with rage. It's not. Hours later, the police arrived. My father was taken away, silent, his face empty. They called it self-defense. I called it the final lie. The investigation tore everything apart. The ledger, the accounts, the cover-ups all exposed. Daniel's name cleared. My family's empire crumbled. Months passed. I sold the house, the land, everything tied to them. But one thing remained, the keychain. I kept it in my pocket every day, a reminder of the truth buried beneath years of silence. Sometimes, I still hear the wind chime on quiet nights, like it's calling his name. Sarah's doing better now. She doesn't talk about that night, and I don't make her. But sometimes I catch her staring at the keychain, her fingers tracing the initials. One evening, she asked softly, "Do you think Uncle Daniel forgave us?" I looked out the window at the dark yard. The shed long gone, the ghosts still whispering. "He didn't need to," I said quietly. "He knew I'd never stop carrying it." She smiled faintly and walked away, leaving me alone with the sound of the wind. I reached into my pocket, feeling the cold metal of the keychain. For a second, I thought I heard footsteps in the hall. I turned, but no one was there. Still, I could swear I heard a familiar voice. Soft, distant, almost like a promise. "It's just a job, sis," it said. And then, silence.